The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening stole fans' hearts when it was first released on the Game Boy back in 1993, and then again as Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color in 1998. Link's Awakening was a groundbreaking game for the series. It was the first game on a handheld, the first without Princess Zelda, and the first to take place in an unfamiliar setting. Fans praised the original for its quirky setting, music, and story. Now in 2019, the 26-year-old classic has been given new life and the potential to captivate a new generation of Zelda fans. Link's Awakening is a very faithful remake of the original. The game takes place sometime after A Link to the Past. Link becomes shipwrecked and washes ashore Koholint Island, a dreamlike world which is inhabited by enemies that are similar to those of other Nintendo franchises. He is rescued by a girl named Marin and learns that the only way to get off the island and return home is to wake the Windfish, who is sleeping in a giant egg on top of a mountain. So Link must explore all the island's dungeons, defeat the nightmares inside, and recover all 8 instruments of the sirens to wake the Windfish. The map is a one-to-one blueprint of the original, to the point where you could use a guide for the original game and very much get by. And that's not a knock at all. Seeing the world come alive on the Switch without the limitations of the Game Boy was a very satisfying experience. This is what the game developers intended the game to look like, and it looks great. The character models are reminiscent of porcelain dolls and create a toy-like art style. The shadows, lighting, and textures are equally eye-catching, especially in dungeons. The world also has a vignette blurring effect, which adds to the dreamlike atmosphere. One caveat to adding all these graphical updates is the frame rate will dip from time to time, especially when Link is dashing. I felt like it didn't impede my experience while playing, but other Game Pack members may disagree with me. The sound design is also amazing. From the breaking of pots to Link's feet tapping as he sprints with the Pegasus boots, Koholint has never felt more alive. Slicing enemies with your sword gives a satisfying pop, and hearing Marin sing the Ballad of the Windfish gave me goosebumps. Every single time. Speaking of music, the 8-bit tunes have been beautifully remastered into orchestral arrangements. Link's Awakening doesn't forget its 8-bit origins, however. Faint 8-bit tunes can be heard over the new arrangements in certain locations. One massive upgrade in moving from the Game Boy to Switch is access to more programmable buttons for items. The original had a lot of back and forth, in and out of the bag to remap items because, well, the Game Boy only had 2 buttons. Now you can map your items to X and Y as you please, and your sword and shield have dedicated buttons. Other quality of life improvements include the ability to add stamps to points of interest on the overworld map, as well as being able to reread previously stated hints from NPCs. As for the difficulty of the game, it mostly felt like a hybrid of a game from 1993 and 2019. Some moments I was glad my hand wasn't being held, which then forced me to explore. Other moments I felt that it was very unclear what to do. I felt that I had to just stumble upon the solution, and in my opinion, I thought that hurt the pacing of the game. There was one dungeon where I had to move a ball around breaking objects, and I could not for the life of me figure out how to get the ball to the last pillar, and when I finally figured it out, I said to myself, how was I supposed to know that? If you do ever get stuck, there are telephone houses littered all over Koholint to nudge you in the right direction. The times I did figure out a puzzle without a guide, I was overwhelmed with a sense of satisfying relief. One of the bigger new additions to the game is the Chamber Dungeon. Dampé has settled down on Koholint with the dream of making dungeons. Here you can assemble your own dungeon with dungeon rooms you've cleared on your quest. This seems like a step in the right direction towards a fully fledged Zelda maker, but the inability to share your dungeons online with friends left me wanting more. You can save your dungeon to a Legend of Zelda series amiibo to share with friends locally, and if you have the Link's Awakening Link amiibo, you can get Dark Link to spawn in your dungeon. This remake also includes the Color Dungeon, which was an exclusive dungeon to the DX version of Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color. It was a dungeon with puzzles that focused on, as the name suggests, color. And I'm not going to spoil it, but you do get a pretty sweet reward for completing it. Whether you're diving into Link's Awakening with full nostalgia from the original, or this is your first time experiencing what Koholint has to offer, you won't be disappointed. It's nice to travel back in time, back when games were simpler and less handholdy. This is a game that any Zelda fan needs to experience in some shape or form, and the 2019 edition is proving to be the definitive version. We here at the Game Pack give The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening a 9 out of 10. For more on The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, be sure to check out our first 15 minutes of gameplay. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.